Okay, so good evening, everyone. We are the reporter for today. So, our topic is all about math programs. Next slide, please. So, mathematical programming refers to mathematical models used to solve problems such as decision problems. So, the terms are meant to contrast with computer programming, which solves such problems by implementing algorithms which may be designed and specifically for a given problem. So basically, it is a method on how to teach mathematical concepts such as addition, subtraction, multiplication, or division. So each math programs has its own way or a process to solve math problems. Math programs organize mathematical concepts so that students see how the concepts connect to and build on each other. Next slide, please. Singapore math. It is a te- it is a teaching method based on the national mathematics curriculum used for first through sixth grade in Singaporean schools. It is originally developed by Singapore's Ministry of Education in the 1980s. So the Singapore math has been widely adopted in various forms around the world. It is a highly effective teaching method that was originally developed in Singapore to teach students to learn and master mathematical concepts at greater detail. The Singapore math method focuses on mastery, which is achieved through intentional sequencing of concepts. So it teaches students mathematical concepts in a three-step learning process. So these are the concrete, pictorial, and abstract. This learning process was based on the work of an American psychologist, Jerome Bruner. So he found out that people learn in three stages by first handling real objects before transitioning to pictures and then to symbols and numbers. Next slide, please. Three-step learning process. So first is the concrete. Concrete is the doing stage. During this stage, students use concrete objects to model problems. When students are acting on the mathematics with the manipulatives, they are also more likely to form the language to communicate concepts and ideas. Unlike traditional math teaching methods where teachers demonstrate how to solve a problem, the learning process brings concepts to life by allowing children to experience and handle physical objects. So every abstract concept is first introduced by using physical, interactive, concrete materials. So for example, if if a problem involves adding blocks, so the children can first handle the actual blocks. And then the second is pictorial. Pictorial is the seeing stage. Here, visual representations of concrete objects are used to model problems. So in this stage, In this stage encourages children to make a mental connection between the physical object they just handled and the abstract pictures, diagrams, or models that represent that objects from the problem. So as you can see in the second picture, it is a bar model. So that bar model, excuse me, that bar model is a visual representations of concrete objects, which is the blocks. So building or drawing a model makes it easier for children to grasp different abstract concepts. And then in the last stage is the abstract. So this is the symbolic stage. So the children use abstract symbols to model problems. So students will not until they have demonstrated that they have a solid understanding of the concrete and pictorial stages of the problem. The abstract stage involves the teacher introducing abstract concepts. So for example, mathematical symbols. So children are introduced to the concept at a symbolic level using only numbers, notations, and mathematical symbols to indicate addition, multiplication, or division. The three-step learning process helps children learn new ideas and build on their existing knowledge by introducing abstract concepts in a more familiar and tangible way. Next slide, please. Montessori math. Dr. Maria Montessori, an Italian physician, educator, and innovator, acclaimed for her educational method that builds on the way children learn naturally. She opened the first Montessori school, the Casa dei Bambini, or Children's House, in Rome on January 6, 1907. So in 1907, Dr. Maria Montessori opened the first Montessori school, which is the Casa dei Bambini. Italian, the Casa dei Bambini, an Italian words for children's house. She believed that children learn naturally. So she saw that the children observed knowledge from their surroundings, essentially teaching themselves. Next slide, please. Montessori math. Using hands-on methods to help children advance at their own pace. These methods include
Excuse me, Miss Palayahay.
okay, so using hands-on methods to help children advance at their own pace. These methods include manipulating bed and stamp material, utilizing strip boards, using physical shapes to learn fractions, and memorizing essential math. So Montessori math is hands-on and sensory based until the child gets into more advanced math concepts. So they will be using different materials to help them learn, to help children learn the fundamental aspects. So Montessori math brings mathematical concepts to children through fun, interactive objects that demonstrate math through shapes and colors. So Dr. Montessori designed unique learning materials for them, for the children, so many of which are still in use in Montessori classrooms today, and created a classroom environment that fostered the children's natural desire to learn. So those materials will build on each other throughout the child's learning. So that's the end of my part. The next reporter will be Miss Rosel.
Excuse me, Sir Carms. Makita ra ang slide.
Wala po ko'y makita.
Okay, sige. Ako na
Ipin na
lang
siya, wala
usbon.
po na
Okay.
makita. Ipin si Rota. Ipin na ra si Rota. Dapat po. Pin na na ko, wala pa. Sa meet day. Wala sa taga kuan shared. Tuluman ka Rota.
Ako na lang usbon. Og koan. Share.
Okay na.
Okay na. Visible na.
Oo.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay. Montessori math materials. So math materials in every Montessori classroom are all ordered from the simpler to more complex. By working with authentic Montessori math materials, children are encouraged to develop and bring to life their understanding of mathematical concept. So the Montessori teaching method is based on the philosophy developed by Dr. Maria Montessori. Through carefully planned activities and manipulative learning materials, so, which is kids encouraged to discover their solving skills. So I have here examples of uh, math materials that Dr. Montessori develop. Okay, so first is the number rods, second is cards and counters, and third is spindle box. Okay, now let's move on to common math. Common is the Math program is the world's largest after-school enrichment program. The Common Math program starts with preschool material for kids as young age of 3 and advance all the way to end of high school. Math programs goes from counting and number sequencing, addition and subtraction, to multiplication and division, fractions, order of operations, positive and negative numbers, equation, functions, graphs, and factorization, derivatives, integrals, trigonometric functions, series and sequences, advanced and calculus and differential equations. So, this common math is designed to allow students to advance by self-learning. So, there are times when students encounter problems in this program that they don't understand or unable to solve on their own. They are like the instructor give them a worksheet, and then they are not able to understand and unable to solve on their unable to solve the problem on their own. So at times like this, the instructors do not immediately give students um the give students directly the answer, but the instructor uh, give students like situations to solve the problem. Then, common instructors do not spoon feed like it's not like kuan kanang sa Montessori math programs and Singaporean math programs. These common math programs only focus on guiding students to complete exercises on their own so that they will enjoy a sense of achievement and are able to master new material independently. So the common instructor discover the potential of what each student is capable of and develop the ability in every one of them. All right, so um, the common goes like this. So first, at the enrollment, it is where the deciding a starting point and setting up a study projection. It's like they are the instructor giving the children a diagnostic test to determine the appropriate starting point that allows students to enjoy their study and receive perfect scores. Next is the instructing students. It is where before the study, allocating worksheets the just right level of the study. This is based on students' previous result, on completed worksheets, on observing the way students study. Then the instructors carefully consider each day's study session and provide students with worksheets. Then they will enable them the students will enable them to study and advance independently. Next is during study, observing students and guiding them to do worksheets on their own, helping students to self-learn. So as what I have said earlier, that in this program, the instructors are not spoon feed the child. Instead, they are just guiding and let the children learn on their own pace. So instructors uh, in this during the study, the instructor only observes students as they do the worksheets and give hint and advice only when necessary. Next is after study, recognition, praise, and encouragement, communicating with students. After study is complete, instructors check students' result and praise and encourage them to increase their motivation to learn. Then instructors give students worksheets to be done at home together with advice on how to approach them. Next is after study, analyzing the way students are advancing, optimizing the study plan to make it more suitable for each student. In this stage, instructors use record sheets to record students' progress. It's like they are assessing the progress of a child. So this is considered the best way to have students advance and optimize the study plan. The study projection that was made at the time of enrollment is examined periodically, and if necessary, the study projection and the way instruction is carried out and adjusted accordingly. Next is after study, developing students' ability with the help of parents and guardians, reporting on students' learning situation. So it's like uh, the teachers are cooperating, kanang the teachers and parents are cooperating for the progress of their child. So the support of parents and guardians is essential in order to successfully maximize students' ability. So in this phase, instructors talk with parents and guardians on the daily basis about the way students study at home and the content that they are currently studying, and The instructors also discuss the future study plan with parents and guardians in a way that is easy to understand so that the mutual understanding is achieved. Okay, next, here I have an example of materials in common math programs. So this is ages 3 to 5 and this is ages for 6 to 12. And that would be all our reports, right? Thank you.
Please go back to the first slide and on the second slide, I think the definition of math program. Okay, that one. I think that's not really the what is expected to be presented in this part. You're mentioning about mathematical programming. It's a different thing with mathematics programs. Okay, I think this definition is more on, I think it's focused on computer programming, which solves such problems in mathematics like algorithms. So please correct this one. Math programs here, we are referring to um, programs, or in other words, we can say curriculum, but not on computer programming. Okay, so in this slide, it should be the definition of mathematics programs. So basically, when you say mathematics programs, these are designed programs, designed curriculum intended to develop mathematical skills. So in our Department of Education, we also have our math programs. We have our curriculum in math, and that's part of our mathematics programs. Okay, I just want to correct that definition that you have presented there. That shouldn't be the definition. That it should be about math programs, not referring to computer programming, but it is about curriculum, the implementation of mathematics teaching. That's part of our mathematics program. Okay, so you have also presented um, the three approach, or saying, shall I say, there are three being mentioned in terms of math programs. Why do you think are these three being mentioned? Singapore, Montessori, and Kumon. Why do you think that these three are being highlighted in this topic? Reporters?
Rota, sir.
Okay.
For me, sir, in my own perspective, these three programs, which is the Singaporean, the Montessori, and the common math programs, are being presented because as we see that kaan, it is really it is really presented what's the process of giving a lesson to or giving or kanang it is a process where you introduce the concept of numbers to the little ones. But yeah, these three programs has differences. So kaning this Singaporean and this Singaporean and Montessori is more on like spoon feeding kay the instructors are going to like ila yung ipasabot sa students on how to manipulate those toys, those materials, math materials for the child to know to identify the concept of the numbers. Well, yeah, the common math programs is like kuan lang jud siya, self learn like kanang based sa kuan ra jud sa skill sa bata. They are not spoon feeding. So Therefore, I think these programs was being highlighted because as a future educator, we need to know kuan, how to introduce our how to introduce math and numbers to the little ones. That's also. Thank you.
Okay, so with that being said, what are the differences? No? What makes Singapore different? What makes Montessori different? And what makes common different in terms of teaching mathematics? Other reporters?
Yes, sir. So the Singapore math is more on is using the scaffolding approach, and then the Montessori is kanang the Montessori is using the spiral approach in which kanang the mathematical concepts that the teachers teach. That the teacher teach is kanang more gibalik ra siya is makasabot ay is makasabot well sa Singaporean math is after after well, well sa Singaporean math kailangan i-achieve ang katong first level which is the concrete para ma para mo go to another level na pod which is katong pictorial and then abstract. And then in the common programs is a teacher is the guide ra siya sa student like wala siya gi scaffolding parehas sa Singapore programs and then the Montessori.
What about Isan? Is Isan part of the reporters?
Dili, sir. Next reporter na siya, sir.
So only Rota and Polio for this?
Yes, sir.
No, sir.
Okay, Rota and Polio. Okay, so the reason why we highlight the three, you have Singapore, Montessori, and Common, they are, I think, the best pioneering implementers of math programs. Singapore, as we all know, they are they are very much advanced in terms of not only in the resources in teaching mathematics, but their approaches. So it has been mentioned under Singapore math programs, you have the CPA, that's concrete pictorial abstract. And we even have the CRA approach. I think that's the CRA approach that we also know today. CRA, that's concrete presentational abstract. And it's, I think, similar to the CPA of Singapore. So they are the best pioneering or the pioneer implementer of this approach. CPA or the CRA approach, it is a very effective approach in teaching mathematics. I think it's from Jerome Bruner. I think that's Jerome Bruner, Batusha. Is it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so
Yes,
Jerome
sir.
Bruner. So there have been so many studies na kaning CPA approach or the CRA approach, it is very kanang impactful gid siya in terms of basic mathematics development, or even in higher mathematics we apply this one. The approach has the three steps. So we begin with the concrete, meaning we begin with real objects. Kana, doing stage, you have physical objects na dapat na ay makapta ng bata. You cannot let the child count and just imagine nga na siya i-count. You have to let the child hold something to represent a quantity or to represent a number. That's why we need the manipulatives, and all those resources, na physical resources for children to better, or if not best, understand the concept of numbers, quantities. Then you have pictorial, or in other terms, you have representational, the seeing stage. So you have from concrete, you proceed to pictures, visuals, that will still represent number concepts. And after that, you have the abstract. It's more on symbolic. So you'll be using numbers and symbols that represent quantities. Also, you also present symbols that will represent mathematical situations. So, and this one is very effective and essential in kindergarten, especially in early childhood education. And we are also advocating for this. So we have trainings also on CRA approach, in-depth ed. So, and I think Singapore has really pioneered this program, this CPA or CRA approach. And I think they really delivered the best approach or they really applied this very well. Nga kanang provided, if you check on their sites, ilang mga materials, very kuan gyud kanang well designed, well provided, no? So kita diri sa Pilipinas nagsunod ra gyud ta. So isuhid ra man gyud ta actually. The K-12 curriculum, isuhid ra man gyud nato. And it's a good thing because we are also developing. So, this is a very good approach, and you have to remember this, my dear future kindergarten teachers, because mo gyud ni siya very effective gyud ni siya when you will be introducing mathematical concepts in kindergarten. In terms of Montessori, we all know that Montessori daghan kitang school natin, it's a global system, no? We have Montessori schools. Even Silliman University is an advocate of Montessori. So again, Montessori is being highlighted because she has pioneered also methods in teaching mathematics. So as for Montessori, she emphasized on real objects, manipulatives, kanang mga physical resources, somewhat related to CRA. But in Montessori, there is also a unique distinction as to Montessori is also gonna advocating for natural development for children. It's like, I think it's the same concept that we have. If you are you have, I think this is the same group that we have in literacy development. I know this is not part of it. It's the foundations of early childhood education. If you can still remember, Montessori believes in natural development. Let the child learn without forcing. So if let the child learn in his or her own pacing. There is also the term directed learning. So mo to inyong giingon nga balik-balikon hangtod ma-master sa bata. And I think that is also very much effective nowadays. If learners are not has not or learner or a learner has not fully mastered the basic skill, then you will not proceed to the higher level skill. You have to go back to reteach the basic skill so that the learner can master the skill. And I think if if you have observed our curriculum in the K to 12 in kindergarten curriculum, we follow the spiral progression from basic to complex. So we begin with the simplest skill. We teach the simplest skill, the prerequisite skills. And if the child cannot master the basic, then of course you cannot let a child proceed to the higher level. Kay maglisod og samot ang bata. So Montessori is really a good pioneer for that. So if you have observed also dahil mga eskwelahan nato diri ng Montessori schools, that is their approach. And I think you jada gid ila approach. Best pioneer gina sila in terms of naturalist, natural development, or they not naturalist but maturationist. They believe on maturational theory that if the child is not ready for a specific skill, um, then ang ato arang mahimo is just to facilitate, just to assist, just to provide support to the child and not forcing the child. And muna siya sad reality nato sa atong educational system. Okay, because of we are too ambitious nga dapat bataan ni makabaluan ni, and we are no longer sensitive to their natural development, to their pacing. When you will be in the field, when you will be in the public schools or even in the private schools, naagi na ato ang mga mindset nga ma-pressure ba? Like, we pressure ourselves kay kung siya makatunan sa bata, and then kung maglisod ang bata, kitang mga teachers, mura po tao mag-uol kay kung sa'y kulang, ano pa man di pa man siya kabalo. But sakto yun si Montessori. There is that premise nga, the child will learn and should be taught in his or her own pacing. Dili na ito mapugus ang tanang bata na ma-bright sila tanan. And just for sure, wala dyan batang butol. It's just that they develop at different levels, at different pacing. So we just have to deal with it. Maura gini ato ha. And Montessori has really kanang na-apply gina sa Montessori approach. And Kumon also, Kumon is very known also. We have schools here, Kumon schools here, and they have been producing mga highly advanced in thinking mga estudyante, no? So, Kumon, na ako'y kailang nag-Kumon iyang bata. So, kuan yun, kanang very well designed yapon ilang approach. They have that unique program. I think it has also presented a while ago, the stages, I think, or the parts of their program na ay task before the puan. Can you go back to that slide? Katong na mga stages gani nga before ang bata nag-work. So you have there kato siya na, so they have the enrollment, they have the placement test, and kana siya na approach that is very unique to common schools. So, and these are things nga I think is sweet po na to sa DepEd. But sometimes sa kadaghang gisuhit sa DepEd, malibog ta kung asa nagway atong sundo na natin. That's my observation as a teacher in DepEd. This is not this is not saying bad things about DepEd, but it's a good thing that we are developing. But the sad truth is, when you will be in DepEd, daghan ka yung daghan tang trainings. Kani nga approach, kani nga approach, kani nga approach, kani nga approach. Daghan ka yung isuhid ang DepEd. Okay, I think I think